There we go. Yo, what's the deal, baby? This your boy Uncle Luke, the Luke Show, right here, podcast. I got the great Desmond Howard from Michigan, ESPN, by way of St. Joseph High School in Cleveland, Ohio. And, and now he resides somewhere here in South Florida. I'm not going to tell y'all. Hey, Des, thank you for coming on, man.
Hey, brother, it's a pleasure and it's an honor, man. So thanks for having me. I look forward to this. I see you put a St. Joe's out too. St. Joe's in Cleveland, Ohio. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know me being a high school coach. I always try to go deep and get information when I'm talking to people. Because I just high school high school Pop Warner. It just means so much. People don't realize how much it means to a player in their life. Like we see these guys. Guys get on TV and they say they forget about the college. They'll say the name of the high school. It's like the high school is the most impressionable moment. My personal opinion. So I'm always talking about high schools. Tell me, did you play Pop Warner?
Yeah, man. No, you hit the nail on the head with that, brother. Because so back in Cleveland, it was the Cleveland Browns Muni League. So it was a Muni League football, but just like Pop Warner, some people call it CYO. But I played, Little League, Pop Warner football, growing up, and just like you said, I mean that that whole journey from Little League football or Pop Warner, Muni League football to high school is just so important. Like you as a young athlete, you get your foundation from those experiences. That just, in my opinion, it can put you on the right course. At least it did for me. That's what really put me on the right course. And everybody that I had as a head coach, in my opinion, they were an extension of the previous head coach. So, like, I give you a perfect example. So my little league team, my Muni League team was called St. Tim's, and my Pee Wee coach was a guy named Nate Clark. But then my bantamweight coach was a guy named Bruce, and Coach Bruce was, an extension of Nate Clark. Nate Clark taught us discipline. Bruce took that to another level. Like, you had to do things a certain way. And after I got through with St. Tim's, and I went to St. Joseph's High School, which is a whole other story. Like, I don't know how much time you got on this podcast, but that's a whole nother story. But my coach there was a legendary high school football coach in the state of Ohio named Bill Gutbrod. And let me tell you, Luke, this man, Bill Gutbrod. Now, let me back up. So when I played Little League, I played in the inner city. So all of my
Mm-hmm.
teammates were black. All of my coaches were black. So Nate Clark, Pee Wee football, black head coach, black staff, black teammates. Bruce, when I played for Bruce, went up to the bantamweight, same deal. Now I go across town and play for this guy, Bill Gutbrod, who was at that time, he was the only football coach St. Joe's ever had. He had been there since 1950.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he's a white guy now, white staff. I'm going across town playing at St. Tim's, so it's a Catholic school. So now I have white teammates, and it was like a culture shock from the standpoint of how they approach things. Now, he was a disciplinarian too, because he was a World War II vet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he ran it like it was military style, like, which was cool by me because that's what I was used to. Disciplinarian, we do things the right way. Boom, boom, boom. You don't complain. And we practice 3 times a day in pads, brother. Like, we hit
Wow.
3 times a day. And the crazy thing is that, and so in his mind, Coach Gutbrod's mind, he thought that football was such a physical sport that either you or the person you were playing against, your opponent, should be bleeding. So,
Sound like me.
hey,
Sound like
Luke,
me.
but listen. So the man, I'm not kidding you. You can Google it too. He used to his most prominent saying was, "Where's the blood? Where's the blood?" He'd come up to you during practice. He'd grab you by your jersey and say, "Where's the blood? Where's the blood?" And then, brother, and then he would take it a step further. If there was no blood on your uniform, he would reach in his back pocket, pull out a bottle of Heinz ketchup, and squirt it on you. I'm not making this up. You can Google it. I'm trying to tell you, this is fact. And so
Wow.
I was like, wow, this is how these white coaches get down, huh? This is crazy. Like, this is bananas. But I tell you what, man, it was a hell of an experience. And, it put in that whole mentality of, first of all, discipline, hard work, and physicality. So, you hit it on the head, though. Like, but those experiences, brother, from Little League football to high school, I would not trade them for anything in the world because they set the foundation for not only the football player I became, but also just the man I became.
Yeah, I always, that's why I always liked it, because everybody got their stories when they came from Pop Warner to high school, because what people don't realize is how many years a kid has played. Like down here in South Florida, they'll start off at the 4 and 5, end up playing from 4 to 5 to 15 years old on the park. 14 years old on the park. That's, what is that, 11 years already. And then they go into high school for another 3 or 4 years. And some of these kids have almost 15, 17 years under their belt before they even get to college. And I know those are the most impressionable moments that set you up for college. So let me ask you, were you like a blue chip 5-star coming out of St. Joseph?
Yeah, I tell you what. So St. Joe's is an interesting story about St. Joe's. So St. Joe's was a school that was really prominent in basketball. Like we had like some guys who we sent from high school to college and then eventually played in the NBA, like a guy named Stan Kimbrough, a guy named Kevin Edwards, Clark Kellogg, several guys like that. So, but then we did have some guys who went to the NFL too, like the Golick brothers, Mike and Bob Golick. But it's more known at that time for basketball, especially nationally. So when I went to Joe's, I was a hooper too. I played basketball, but some things happened on the between me and the basketball coach. Like I said, that's another story. We get we get to that in another podcast. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
my my my,
What
my,
happened
my
with the basketball coach?
uh,
That's a whole. That sounds like it's a whole nother movie there.
oh, it is, brother. I'm trying to tell you, I got some stories, man. I got some stories, but
What was the basketball coach?
I know. I think they got such big egos or something. I don't know, but I tell you, and then the the big part of the story is my dad was involved. My dad, he's just no nonsense. He don't play that at all, like at all.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah. So
We all know how that played out.
yeah, exactly. So my junior year, we were a team that we were ranked nationally. So had like the USA Today Top 25.
Yeah,
So we were ranked in the USA Today Top 25. So once you do that, then a lot of college programs, they start to pay attention to you. So um, we were ranked nationally, and then my senior year we were ranked nationally. Then we played all the top competition in the state of Ohio. Like if anyone's familiar with like high school football, and you can go way back, like way back, like some of the most prominent high school football programs were like in the state of Ohio, like Massillon, Ohio, Canton, McKinley, Ohio, Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary, stuff like that. Like, so we played all of those guys. So because we had such a rigorous schedule, and we were ranked in the top 25 in the country, and I was I guess the best player on the team. I was a running back. I used to carry the ball like 25, 30 times a game. Then I got a lot of letters. I don't think they had the star system back then where you got like 4
The
stars or
chips.
5 stars. Yeah, yeah. But I
White
was
chip.
highly recruited though, for sure.
Oh, so you ended up at Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
And how come you didn't end up? I mean, being a big time player in Ohio. How come you didn't end up in at Ohio State?
Oh yes, let me tell you about that. So check this out. So my senior year, Ohio State, and then let me go back. I was never like a college football fan, so I didn't grow up like a lot of kids in Ohio, loving the Buckeyes. Like a lot of kids here, they love like the Canes. You know what I mean? Like they love the Canes, or they may love like the Gators, or they may love Florida State, but they love one of those three big name football programs that's in the state of Florida. I wasn't like that. I was a huge NFL fan. Like I lived for Sundays and Monday night football. I lived for that. I was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Tony Dorsett was my guy. You could not tell me. Like I said, I was a running back in high school. So anytime we went outside, we played sandlot football or something. Man, I had to be Tony Dorsett. Now, hey, you could be anybody. You could be Franco Harris. You could be Walter Payton. You could be Earl Campbell. I don't give a damn. But I'm going to be TD33. And if I ain't TD33, then we got to fight for it. So I was a huge Cowboys fan. I didn't really care about the Buckeyes. I didn't watch a lot of college football until New Year's Day, which was the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all. So my senior year, it was just I remember telling my dad that Ohio State was off the table. He said, "How come, son?" I said, because they had fired their head coach, a guy by the name of Earl Bruce, and they were bringing in this guy named John Cooper from out west. I think like from out in Arizona somewhere, and we didn't know anything about this guy. So I was telling my dad, I said, "Listen, I don't know, anything about this coach. I don't know what type of offense he wants to run, what type of personnel he wants to use." And I said, "Dad, quite frankly, I just don't want to be part of a rebuilding program." So even though I lived in Cleveland, I never even took an unofficial visit to Columbus. The first time I stepped foot on that campus after was in the maize and blue uniform. I never even took an unofficial visit to Columbus. So that's how come I didn't end up a Buckeye. And the crazy thing is, I'll tell you something wild. So you remember, O.J. McDuffie, right? Played for the Dolphins. Dolphins great.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, O.J. McDuffie, we were in high school at the same time. He played at a high school called Hawken. It was a nice private school. And they used to always compare our highlights every Friday night or Saturday night. He was a running back at Hawken too. Like our careers like really took a very similar path. OJ went from Hawken to Penn State, and then he became a wide receiver at Penn State. He was a running back in high school, became a wide receiver at Penn State. I went from St. Joe's to Michigan. I was a running back in high school, became a wide receiver at Michigan. One day, I was up in Gainesville, and I was visiting with Urban Meyer. And there was a guy sitting in the office with Urban Meyer who he looked familiar, but I couldn't place his face. And he was like decked from head to toe in Gators paraphernalia, right? So I'm like, man, where do I know this guy from? But I couldn't place it. So then we were done talking, and then Urban said, "Hey, Desmond, I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Earl Bruce." I'm like, damn, that's where I know him from. That's Earl Bruce, the former Ohio State coach, right? And so I'm like, man, I knew your face, but you really threw me for a loop with all that Gator gear on you wearing, So come to find out, Urban, I guess, had coached as a GA or whatever under Earl Bruce, so they were tight. And so Earl Bruce, was talking about, the good old days back in Ohio high school football. And I was telling him the same story that I told you about why I didn't even go down to Ohio State. He told me, he said, "Desmond, it's funny you said that because the same thing happened with O.J. McDuffie. And that's why O.J. McDuffie didn't go to Ohio State. He went up there to Pennsylvania and played for Joe Paterno. He said the same exact thing happened. I said, wow, that's bananas. Not even though I had to talk to OJ because OJ is my dude, but I was like, that's crazy. That yeah, because they fired him, they lost, and who else? You never know how many other recruits they might have lost too, because how that whole thing goes. But yeah, I was like, they're off the table, Dad. I'm not even going to take an unofficial visit to Columbus.
Yeah, hey, I can imagine that the stars do align in a lot of different ways. So now you get to Michigan,
Yeah.
and and you go to Michigan, you win the Heisman Trophy, and 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 that's the reason why I asked you about the Ohio State. Uh, the reason you didn't go to Ohio State because in '91 you strike the Heisman polls on Ohio State. So I'm like, okay, this might be all my life I always thought, yeah, it's on some okay. Ohio State didn't recruit this cat, and he just got back at them in a major league or a big stage, and then go off and win the Heisman Trophy. So it's amazing. So what made you? Did you think about that before the game? Was that a part of the plan, or it just happened in the moment? You just got caught up in the moment.
Oh man. So listen, so check this out. So when the season began, we started the season. Oh, listen. So when the season began, Sports Illustrated had this quarterback on the cover named David Klingler. He was the quarterback for.
Cleveland.
Yeah, you remember David Klingler?
Yeah, I want to think didn't he end up in Miami on a transfer?
He was a Houston
I remember
quarterback.
Cleveland.
He was a Houston quarterback, and they had him on the cover of SI holding a bundle of dynamite, saying that it was like a foregone conclusion that he was going to become the next Heisman Trophy winner because they already had a quarterback win it named Ware. So since Ware won it, they thought that okay, this kid's gonna win it too. So anyway, so it was almost a foregone conclusion he was gonna win the Heisman that year. So the first game we played Tom Coughlin's team, Boston College, and we went up to their spot. And Luke, that game up in their backyard, I scored 4 touchdowns that afternoon. I caught
Wow.
I caught 3 touchdowns and returned a kickoff for a touchdown. 4 touchdowns. And the only buzz I got after that was like, yeah, that kid Howard in Ann Arbor. Yeah, he's all right. He's a pretty good player. That was about it. That's all. The next weekend, we played Notre Dame in Ann Arbor, national TV, Keith Jackson, the whole nine. We played Notre Dame. I scored 2 touchdowns on Notre Dame. Now, one of them was, it was a pretty important play because it was a 4th and 1. It was a diving catch. It was a spectacular play. But yet and still, it was 2 touchdowns against Notre Dame. And the next thing you know, I'm on the cover of Sports Illustrated. People are like, oh, okay, maybe this kid's pretty good. Maybe we should think about him for the Heisman. Like that whole, like those 2 weeks alone, always proved to me that it's not just what you do, it's who you do it against too, right? So now I'm like a guy who has this Heisman buzz. So as the season grows older, I become a front runner. And guys on my team are telling me, man, you should do something. You should, you got to do something. You got to, they never said what, but like, you got to do something because the only thing I would ever do is I would do the Barry Sanders. I would, score a touchdown, hand the ball to the official, turn around and just celebrate with my teammates, because, up there in Michigan anyway with Bo Schembechler, it was always about the mantra is the team, the team, the team. No individualism whatsoever. It's always about the team. So that's all I would do. Hand the ball off, celebrate my teammates. But that summer, Luke, I was dating this gymnast, right? And so I'm dating this gymnast, and I told her, I said, I want you to teach me how to do a backflip.
Uh-oh.
Because I always thought it would be the coolest thing to like break out in the open and then stop like around, I don't know, maybe the 1 yard line and then do a backflip into the end zone, to score. I thought it would be the coolest thing. So I spent numerous, a lot of time with this girl I was dating, trying to learn how to do a backflip. And I knew how to do it. She actually taught me. I was like, okay, cool, this is cool. So now we fast forward the season to the last game of the year. The last game is always the Ohio State game. It's the big rivalry. I'm from the state of Ohio. I'm like, man, if I get into the end zone today, I gotta do something. I gotta do something special. Cause my guy's like, man, come on, you gotta do something, man. You gotta do something. So this is the last opportunity. So I'm like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. If I break out in the open, I'm gonna do a backflip into the end zone. Go blow everybody's mind. That's what I'm gonna do. So here it is, Luke, my golden opportunity. These guys, the Ohio State Buckeyes, I think their whole mentality coming into that game was, we want to derail Desmond Howard's Heisman campaign.
Wow.
If they lost that game by 50 points, but I hadn't scored a touchdown, I think they would have had a happy bus ride back from Ann Arbor to Columbus. I really do. They were playing their safeties so far back, Luke. It was almost like they were lined up to catch punts. Like, they were hell bent on not letting me score a touchdown that day. And so, I'm a competitor, and I got like this burning fire inside me, and I'm like, man, I'm pissed. I'm just so angry because I can't get my plays off. I can't get off. I can't, break any big ones. So I'm like, man, cussing and everything. I'm so hot. I'm hot. So now I'm lined up on a 10-yard line to catch a punt. And you know this because you coach, but say this for your audience. The general rule of thumb, if you're a punt returner, is if the opponent is punting anywhere near midfield, as a returner, you have to put your heels on the 10-yard line. And if the ball appears to be traveling over your head, you let it go.
Right.
You're not supposed to retreat to catch the ball. You want to, the thought process is, if it's going over your head, 9 times out of 10, it's going to bounce into the end zone, and the offense will start at the 20-yard line or whatever. So I'm pissed. I'm hot. I can't get off. I'm like, man, these dudes here, they playing so far back. They don't want to let me. They don't want me to score. So I'm like, lined up 10-yard line, Luke, and dude punted the ball, and I can tell. I'm like, shh, man, damn, this ball about to go over my head. Man, I was like, damn it, hell with it. So I started to retreat. I started to go back so I could catch it. And at that point, I think I caught it like maybe on the 7-yard line. And at that point, now I'm vested in making something happen now. Because if I get caught or tackled anywhere inside the 20-yard line, that's going to be looked upon as a stupid, bonehead, dumb, selfish ass play. Like, that's how it would be looked. That's how people would look at it. Especially my coach would be pissed. And it would be a bad situation for me. So I got to make something happen, right? So I make the first wave of tacklers miss. And now I'm looking at the second wave coming. I'm like, okay, this is going pretty good now because at least I didn't get caught inside the 20. And I was like, okay, I can set this guy up, make him think I'm going to go towards the field, but I'm going to go more towards the sideline because most guys, they want to, try to force you where the pursuit is coming from. And I went against the grain. Yes, I went against the grain, and I faked it in. It came out, and now I'm looking at the punter. And I swear to you, I promise you, I'm looking at the punter, and now I'm looking at him thinking, okay, am I going to do this backflip or not? Because there's no way this dude's going to catch me. This is a wrap. Nah, this is done. It's a wrap. So as I make this dude miss, and I'm running. So I'm running, right?
No,
and
I'm just thinking, laughing.
Oh, that I'm trying to think. And I'm going down like Ohio State sideline too. And I'm thinking, should I do the backflip? Yes. No. Yeah, do it. It'll be hype. If you mess it up, you'll be on SportsCenter for the wrong thing. I like, shoot. Bro, I got inside the 10-yard line and I chickened out. I had talked myself out of doing the backflip, and then I just crossed the goal line. I said, well, I gotta do something, and I just I hit that pose, and it was like spontaneous. It was maybe for a second, but because of video and because of the still picture, it'll last It'll last the test of time for sure. But yeah, it was a spontaneous move by me because I chickened out and didn't do the backflip.
Wow. That ended your relationship with the gymnast. And she was like, oh, hell no. All this work, I done put into the backflip. There it is. I'm good. All right, When you get close to the end, when you get close to your goal, in the last 10, this is where I'm supposed to be getting my shine, and I'm telling my mama he's gonna do a blackface. And then you go strike a pose. You go strike
Yeah.
a pose. I guess that's how funk came in the picture.
Basically.
Oh, God.
Oh man.
So now you win the Heisman Trophy,
Yeah.
and then you get drafted in the first round, and now we get into the NFL. You get into the Super Bowl game,
Yeah.
and that was probably one of the most amazing games I've seen in a long time because it again sound like the same story over where the quarterback was supposed to win the Heisman Trophy. Everybody in America just knew Brett Favre was going to win the MVP award,
Yeah.
and then you ended up winning the MVP in the Super Bowl, which was a great thing. But the question I know a lot of folks in the hood was like, man, that Brett Favre had to be hot. I know that mo. It had to be hot. That mo. How? Oh no, we conspiracy theorists in the hood. No,
Right.
man, they give to that brother. They had to misvote. We knew it. They had to make a mistake because he got off. But they don't normally give it to the brother. They give it to Brett Favre, the quarterback. So when did you think you was gonna get it? Were you surprised that you got it? And what was the reactions after that?
Oh man, I was shocked. I was shocked. I listen. I'm on the field with like legitimate first ballot Hall of Famers, like not only Brett Favre, but we also had Reggie White, the Minister of Defense, and he was on the field. He was on that team, and the crazy thing is like when people watch that game, like if they pay attention, right after that, because it's all about it's not about what you do. Like I said, it's about when you do it and who you do it against. And because the momentum switch that happened with that kickoff return, I mean, we had the lead, but you know how games go, man. I mean, you look at the momentum and you get a team that they're starting to build momentum. They're starting to ride that wave. If you don't let air out of their sails, they're going to go ahead and steamroll you. We've seen that time and time again. So the Patriots, they were mounting a comeback. I mean, Bill Parcells, they were out there doing their thing, and they had Curtis Martin, and he started to tote the pill, and he ran, and he scored, and they had that confidence going, and it was just the timing of everything like that. Not only did it take the wind out of their sails, it also infused our team, like injected like a boost of adrenaline in our team. So after that kickoff return, and I scored. And then our defense, like they went out there and they played balls out. Like I think Reggie White might have gotten like 2 sacks after that. Like it was just like a whole different like team, especially defensively, and the way they just took over. So it just gave our team. Don't forget, this is a defense that the Patriots, they just drove the length of the field, scored a touchdown against the last series. The only difference is they kicked it off, and then I took it back for a touchdown. That defense now is right back on the field trying to stop the Patriots. They looked like a completely different defense after that touchdown because that momentum swing just does something to you, not only physically, but mentally too. So, and then you have to factor in that. So anyway, so I'm watching Reggie and them play. Listen, Luke, I just wanted to get a ring. I just wanted to win the game. That's all I'm at there for. I'm gonna do my part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's all we want. Like everybody, they want to be crowned Super Bowl champs. That's our goal. And so that was my whole thing. But afterwards, when I saw my name up there in lights as the most valuable player of the game, and I realized like how many records I had broken that night and tied, then it all made sense. Because I mean, I guess that's what, and I don't even know who votes to be honest with you, but I guess that's what they factor in too. But that play was so big that it swung the game back in our favor when it seemed like the Patriots were coming back and they were going to take the lead. So they had everything. It seemed like they had everything going their way until we returned that kickoff for a touchdown, and then just not only did take the win out of themselves. And like you, if you ever listen to Bill Parcells or anybody who was on that Patriots staff, then like they'll tell you, like they say that kickoff return deflated our whole sideline. Like it was, it was almost like a wrap. So when you look at the momentum of a game and you look at plays that impact the momentum, that was the biggest play in that game that night. And I guess, that's why the people, whoever votes for most valuable player, voted to give it to me.
Yeah, the writers finally got it right. They don't normally get it right, but they got it right that night. Let me ask you. So now you got the 15-year career on college game day. Hopefully, I got my numbers right. And now we end up in a pandemic where there's a possible chance that we don't have college football. I was listening to. I was reading an article. uh, One of your colleagues, Kurt Herbstreit, was talking about. I think it was, he was saying something similar to, it'd be ludicrous for school presidents to let these kids go out and play because a large majority of the fan base are college students. Because the money is already added into their tuition, that it'll be virtually, it'll be bad business. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Wow. Well, I tell you what, this is unprecedented. And at this point, I because we know so much about football and what it takes to prepare a team to go through a season. I don't know how far off Kirk was with that comment, but I know that the powers that be are very determined to have a college football season, an NFL season. And so if this thing starts to flatten out, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that they can have a college football season and, of course, an NFL season. So, we're in April now. We're still kind of early April. Hopefully, if people start to do what they're supposed to do, stay indoors, only go out for the bare essentials, and we start to see this thing start to flatten out. I think one thing that Herbstreit said was about a vaccine. If we can get some sort of vaccine now, I don't know how far away we are from that, but I just think if the reports start to come out, Luke, that it's starting to flatten out and we start to have any semblance of normality, just sign of it, then I think that's going to give people the hope and courage that's actually going to take to be able to go out in society, in stadiums and places like that, large gatherings, and feel comfortable again. So this is man, this is a hell of a time that we're living through right now, that we're experiencing. And the only thing that I can say is if it starts to flatten out and it shows like, there's some hope in that regard, and I know the powers that be will do anything and everything they can to try to hold a season for college football and for the NFL.
Right. I was just today. I was listening to a some audio of David Shaw, the head coach at Stanford,
Yeah,
and he was talking about a timeline, because I guess quite a few colleges, been alerted that they're looking somewhere around July to start, and he was talking about the timeline of being able to get his guys ready to play a college football season, and
right.
he was saying it's anywhere from, he basically need about almost I don't know what did he say? Did he say 12 weeks or
Uh,
something like that?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Somewhere just to get them conditioned
Right.
and be prepared to play a football game based on how violent the game is, and just being able to be able to play. I mean, how long you think it would take? And that's one question. And when you guys played back in the days, did you have as much time as these guys have right now to
Yeah.
prepare for a season?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's what I alluded to when I was talking about like you and I. We know what it takes to prepare for a season. Like, they're missing winter conditioning. They're missing winter conditioning. They're about to miss spring ball. Like these are
Hmm.
all important factors in that equation to preparing for a college football season. The crazy thing is, Luke, like some people say, man, so what do you do? Like under normal circumstances, people would ask me around this time of year, man, so what do you do, with all this time you got off? I'm like, we don't have a lot of time off because, come March, spring football starts. So March and April and May, those are very, very important months as far as college football is concerned because the storylines for the fall, they all start in the spring. You have all these early enrollees and guys who are
Hmm.
transferring. Well, those players are on campus now, and those spots, the competition, they start in spring football. So my point is, like, these are some valuable months that they're missing as far as the development and the learning and execution of certain systems for teams. Another factor is, you got first year head coaches at different universities. They're the ones who are going to suffer the most because they need this time. They need this time not only to implement their offense, their defense, but also to evaluate the players that they have. So
Right.
yeah, so they, so there's so many layers to this that it like seems like when Kirk made that comment, those are probably some of the factors that he was thinking about. Because, like I said, like you, myself, Kirk, we know what under normal circumstances what it would take. Now, could they speed that up? Could they expedite it? Could it be condensed? Man, I think it could be condensed, but I don't know how wise it would be to condense it to the point where you're risking now the health of these players. And I don't know if you heard what Mike Gundy said. Like, so Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State's head coach, like he came out and just to paraphrase what he said, pretty much said that, hey, these kids are young enough that they can fight this virus, that their systems are strong enough, their immune systems are strong enough that they can fight this virus. So we should get them back on our campus and let them prepare for a season because we have to fuel Oklahoma's economy. This is pretty much in a nutshell what he said about getting the players back on
Wow.
campus and dealing with the coronavirus. Yeah, I know it was. Yeah, yeah. So that's wild.
That is
That's wild and
absolutely.
reckless.
Yeah, it's wild and reckless. It's definitely that. And it's going to be interesting because I talked to some of my old time football coaches, and college coaches, and they say, well, we started up in August and we had to get ready for a game in September, and
Right.
the first three games, and that was the whole reason why we
Yeah.
played the Brothers in the first three games, and not they just gonna have to bear with it and get it going. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a little time because again, they don't make them kind of kids no more.
There you go. Exactly. You hit it on the head, brother, right? They don't make
They
them
don't
like
make
that
them,
no
hey,
more.
don't make them like, hey, don't make them like with a drill sergeant coach say, hey, I need to see blood. You say
Exactly.
blood,
Right.
you gonna get fired. You see, speaking of blood and get fired, Mike Leach, Mike Leach just said one thing on the Twitter, and everybody hit the transfer portal.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, is there a possibility? And this is going to be probably the toughest question, and I know we kind of I ain't gonna keep you too long from now. Is there a possibility? This is a tough question. You got to think real hard on this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there a possibility that you do college game day either for the Ole Miss and Mississippi game, for the Mike Leach, Lane Kiffin game? That would be, listen. That I think that's probably going to be the biggest game of the year, because by the time they get to each other, both of them be calling everybody each other sons of bitches on the Twitter. Leach probably would lock somebody up in a shed.
Yeah.
Lane probably down the street somewhere in Oxford. I guess that's where they at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Oxford.
Who you taking that game? Who you taking that game?
Oh man, I think that under normal circumstances, that would be a game that we would circle. Depending on what other games are going on that same weekend and what those two teams' records are. So that would definitely be one, just because the
No,
storylines
the
leading
record
to that
is
game,
horrible. The
huh?
record is going to be horrible. It's the anti. Both of them gonna get the crap beat out of them. I
Yeah.
already he's 0-4 already in that conference. So anyway, both of them gonna get the record is gonna be horrible. It's just the antic. I guess
Right.
well, they could probably change the name to the Antic Bowl.
They just might have to. Yeah, no, that would be one that we would love to be at and to see. No doubt about that. Believe me, everyone was buzzing about that. I mean, because I believe Lane made the move first, and he made the move. We talked about it on game day, and then lo and behold, when Mike Leach made the move to Stark Vegas to coach Mississippi State, we were like, oh man, that I think they call it the Egg Bowl. We like the Egg Bowl is never going to be the same. We can't wait for that matchup. You kidding me? Can you
No,
imagine
that's
the sound bites that week leading up to the game? Come on, man.
what I'm saying. Now
Yeah,
you with
man.
me? You leading up to the game? Oh my God,
Absolutely.
that's
100.
serious.
100.
That's something serious. Hey, look, man, it was a pleasure. I know me and you could sit on here. We could talk all day. We can start if we. I already know if we start talking about the kids,
Yeah.
we'll be on here for 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, we get to do this again before the season starts. 'Cause I know you get real busy when the season starts.
Yeah,
But
man. For sure. Anytime, bro.
I,
Let me know.
I
I'd
just
love to
want to
do it.
thank you. You're a legend in the game. To be able to have you on my podcast is a great thing, and I just want to say thank you, and I
Man.
really appreciate it.
Man, well, brother, listen, I admire you. I respect you and what you're doing. You're a legend. And not only our communities, but communities throughout America, what you're doing to these young guys and in this high school football, and even before high school football, the youth football. So keep doing what you're doing. It's a pleasure and honor to be on here. Let me know anytime you need me, brother. I'll jump on here with you, brother. It'd be my pleasure.
Hey, thank you, thank you.
Yes,
There it
sir.
is, ladies and gentlemen. That was Desmond Howard, the great Desmond Howard, the great Desmond Howard.
Thank you, brother.
He never went to any, because most people ask, "Oh, Luke, you ain't asked him about how did he come to your parties?" And no, Des was a nice guy. He didn't come to parties and all those. Some other Michigan guys, I but
Yeah.
thank you, my brother, and
Anytime.
y'all stay safe, you and the family. Tell Funk, my girl, I love her,
Will
and
do.
peace.
Will do, brother. You stay healthy, brother. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.